Back. So, start of a new month, September. August didn't play out the way we thought it was going to play out, or at least the way I thought it was going to play out. But it gives me another bullet point into my thesis as far as Bitcoin being possibly on an extended cycle. The reason I say that is because historically August has been a really good month for us with Bitcoin, especially in bull runs, right? 2021. This year was supposed to be another good time to run in August as well. Prior to that, we had 2017 and 2013. So those were all historical bull run years for Bitcoin. Bitcoin didn't do that. Bitcoin was down 6% something and change for August here. So that's another little bullet point for me in my thesis as far as we're going to be in an extended cycle possibly here. All right, we didn't do a stream on Friday because I was busy renovating a lot of stuff around my house here. So while I do this stuff during the week, as you guys know, and then even on Sundays, things get away from me. And we had a nice long end extended weekend here. So I got to paint the shed. I got to redo our small bathroom as well. And I also had to do inventory at work. So it was a busy weekend for me. Hopefully you guys didn't have that busy of a weekend. Hopefully you guys were able to enjoy it with Labor Day. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it there. But we'll talk about obviously what happened with the miners on Friday. Oh my gosh, Iren and Cypher were pumping crazy. It looks like Iren's pumping a little bit now in the after hours or the pre-hours of tomorrow for trading. Markets were closed today. And then we'll also take a look at the miners, how they did compared to Bitcoin last week. We'll also take a look at Iren Analysts and their price increases for them, price targets. There's quite a few of them that came out on Friday. We'll talk about those. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it as well. What else do we have here? We got some good news stories on Bitcoin, possibly getting to 1.3 million by 2035 from one company here. We'll talk about that. And I think there might be something else there. We're going to some things we want to probably take a look at later on this week that are going to be impacting the markets potentially as well. So we have all that. Then we'll get into Q&A as always. But you guys know the drill. Not financial advice. For only, do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously here. And let's take a look at Bitcoin here right now. Bitcoin has been pretty much flat the last week or so. It hasn't been really doing much of anything other than going kind of sideways. We're up a little bit here. Obviously, on Monday, we were up a little bit. We were up approximately 1% here. We're up a little bit on the new day as well, 0.22%. We're at 109,493. But we were flat over the weekend here. We obviously crashed down on, when was it, Friday? Yeah, Friday we were down 3.73%. The miners, however, oh my gosh, they actually held up pretty good. They didn't, do a double or triple of that to the downside. They actually had a really good day. Ethereum also, let's take a look at Ethereum here. If we look at it really quick, if it loads, Ethereum on Friday was also down, right? It was down 3.35%. Markets were down as well. End of the month, the shenanigans are going to happen at that point. But the miners had a really good day overall on Friday. Bitfarms was up 1.52. Bitdeer was up 4.46. Kango was actually down 2.45. Cypher, I mean, look at this candle wick here. 871 was the high on it. It went down as Bitcoin price was coming down on that one, along with others. But, man, that was nice. So it was up 8.83% overall, but I think at one point it was up like 14 or 15% on the day here. We'll see how that one does this week here. Cleanspark was down just a little bit here, 0.84. CORZ was flat on the day. Hive was up a little bit, 0.34. Hut 8 was up a little bit, 0.83. Iren, oh my gosh, another one here. Had obviously great results on Thursday. They came out. We had a bunch of analysts provide upgraded price targets for them. Increases, we'll talk about that in a second here. But that one was up 14.93. I think at one point it was up like 20-some% on the day here. It did reach a high at 29.50. It got to a new all-time high since it started trading back. This was going back to, 2022, I think it was. If we scroll far enough back, was it 2022? Yeah, November 21. So going all the way back to 2021 here in November. This thing obviously got way above that here now. Well, not way, but nicely above it, which was nice. And it is trading up a little bit in the pre-hours as well, which is good. It also overtook Mara as the highest market cap valuation there. It got to about 7 billion. I think right now it's around 6.6, 6.4, something like that billion. It's still higher than Mara right now. Mara was up just a little bit, 0.13%. Riot was down 0.29%, and Wolf was up a little bit as well, 0.11%. And that's all we're going to take a look at here. But we'll see where Bitcoin goes later on this month here. As you can see here for August, Bitcoin was down 6.49%. Like I said, historically, 2021 was a pretty good year for us. We were up 13.8. 2017, we were up 2017. 2013, we were up 30. These were the historical cycles that we talk about here in Bitcoin, the 4-year cycles. This would be the year that we would be, mooning basically. We should be going up much higher, much faster than we are right now, which we are not, which then again leads me to believe that we are getting into an extended cycle with Bitcoin here. September historically has not been a great month for us. We can see here that it's been only green basically 4 out of the last 13, now 5 out of the last 13 years here, including this year. We'll see where we end up at this month. The good news is we might get rate cuts coming in this month. But then we might have some bad news, which might be the jobs reports if those come in low. Obviously, the economy is kind of slowing down there, so we'll see if this plays out to our advantage here with Bitcoin. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll talk about it, obviously, when it happens here. The FOMC is meeting. Oh gosh, what is it? Is it the 17th of this month? I think it is when they're going to be reporting. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong in there. I know it's around there someplace. On that one, I probably should have looked it up. I did look it up, but I can't remember the date exactly. So we'll see where this plays out here. What else do I want to show you? Oh, really quick here, I wanted to show you guys something as well. I saw this on X as well. Check this out. You can see here from July here, you can see Ethereum pumping basically quite nicely from here, right? Going up here or even down here, wherever you want to track it. It's gone up huge here at that time frame. And what do we see with Bitcoin from July? Basically, that's basically from the middle of July here. We've been actually going downwards, right? If we look at it here. So are we seeing a rotation from Bitcoin into Ethereum? Probably. We're seeing some of that. I think eventually that will also get back to us, or we'll rotate back into Bitcoin here. I don't know if it's going to be in September. I would think so, with possibly Fed rate cuts and things like that. But we'll keep an eye on it, see where we go from here. Hopefully we don't go any further than this, and we hold this line here of around 107,000 roughly. That has acted as kind of strong support here. We kind of bounced off that line here a couple of times here, so we'll see if that holds. All right. As far as the miners here, pre-hours right now, Bitdeer's down a little bit, 1.12%. Bitfarms is up 0.75% roughly. Kango is flat. Cypher is down a little bit, 0.43. Cleanspark is down 0.32. CORZ Scientific is up just a little bit, 0.28. Hive is up, down 1.69%. Hut 8 is up let's see where it finishes up at 0.67. Iren right now is up 2.64%. Mara is up a little bit, 0.44. Riot is up a little bit as well, 0.58. And TeraWolf is down 1.59% on the day there. So, yeah, we'll see where we end up at. As far as the Bitcoin ETF inflows here, we saw negative outflows. And on Friday, we were down 126 million roughly. After having about 4 days of inflows, we had finally an outflow here again. Bitcoin was going down, so that was kind of more likely going to happen here, whether we like it or not. All right, let's get into some good news stories here. Potentially, this is going to be a longer time frame news story, I think. But if you're holding Bitcoin for a longer period of time, if you hold it in your retirement account or something like that, and you're going to be using that for your retirement, this might be actually good news for you, right? But it is going to take us a little while here. Whether it's going to be 5 years, 10 years, wherever we're going to get to, $1 million is going to be coming our way, one way or another here. So Bitwise forecasts 1.3 billion, I wish it was billion, 1.3 million Bitcoin as institutional giants could deploy 5 trillion into the market there. Asset management firm Bitwise published its Bitcoin long-term capital market assumption 2025 report last week, providing one of the industry's most detailed long-term forecasts for the crypto asset. And the firm projected substantial growth for Bitcoin, estimating a base case price of more than 1.3 million by 2035, Bitwise stated. So 10 years from now, our base case forecast a 2035 value of 1.3 and change, and Bitcoin representing a 28.3 CAGR from current levels. This is a significant reduction from the previous 10-year and 5-year CAGR of 82.5% and 63.8%, respectively, but remains high compared to Wall Street forecasts for traditional assets like stocks, bonds, real estate, and other assets. True, right? As Bitcoin becomes less volatile, we're going to see slower growth percentage-wise, but dollar value-wise, it's going to be higher, right? If that makes sense for you guys. While Bitwise maintained a bullish stance, the firm noted that compared to competing research, our forecast is more conservative than estimates from ARK Invest, right, which is calling for 1.5 million to 2.5 million by 2030. In 5 years, that seems very ambitious, I think, as well. And Strategy has 21 million by 2046. That's very ambitious as well. Could we get there? That's not out of the question. I think 1 million here in the next 10 years is doable. Right, it would basically mean that we have to go up roughly 100,000 a year, more or less, for the next 10 years, roughly. If we do it in 5 years, looking at 200,000 increase almost each year here. That might be a little tough, especially what we were seeing here with Bitcoin this year, where Bitcoin is actually up just a little bit, percentage-wise, from the beginning of the year. we'll see where we end up by the end of the year. Continue on here. Institutional investors will allocate between 1 to 5% of their portfolios to Bitcoin, or 1 trillion to 5 trillion, which is definitely a lot of capital there. These allocations are expected to coincide with constrained supply, as more than 94% of the Bitcoin has already been issued and the inflation rate of new supply set to decline further. The firm argued that against the backdrop of mounting U.S. debt and weakening fiat currencies, institutional demand would collide with scarcity to create upward pressure on the asset's price. Supply and demand economics, right? Supply is set at 21 million. You're not going to get any more than that. A lot of it has been already mined. 94% of it has already been mined. We're down to less 6% of it. And as more and more people get into it, more institutions, more countries, more companies, and everybody and their uncle, price is going to go up, right? There's no way about it here. But it's going to take us a little bit longer to get to 1 million there. Nonetheless, the firm asserted that Bitcoin's diversification benefits, declining volatility, and low correlation with other assets classes provide a compelling case for inclusion in portfolios. And I couldn't agree more with that. Right? It should be, with everybody should have a little bit on there. Whether you have one full Bitcoin or a number of sats, you should have it as just a hedge in general, just something to have there. You definitely need to have it in your portfolio. I had a coworker last week stop and ask me, where was Bitcoin price at this point? I said it was like 110,000, 112,000, whatever it was at that time. And he said the last time he looked at it was like 40-some thousand. I'm like, yeah, I've been telling you guys to get into Bitcoin for the last 5 years or so. Nobody has really listened to me, unfortunately, at where I work. I think they would have all been better off had they put in a little bit at least. But it's one of those things where you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? So that's kind of where I think a lot of us are in. Maybe you have had better success at it than I have, but that's kind of been the mentality of a lot of people that that are around me, unfortunately. They just don't understand it either, or they just, I think it's just they don't understand it or think it's a Ponzi or something like that, unfortunately, and it's to their detriment in the long run. So hopefully they wise up. I did tell them, that they could start accumulating now, that they don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. Their understanding was that they had to buy actually one Bitcoin. I'm like, no, you don't have to buy a Bitcoin. There's like 100 million sats per Bitcoin. You can buy, X amount of sats if you want. Start by putting in $100, $200 a month into it, whatever it is. But just, start accumulating. The sooner the better. And they're like, well, what's the price going to get to eventually? I'm like, well, it's going to get to eventually $1 million, I think. With everything that we're seeing here and just the continued supply and demand shocks on it, eventually we're going to get to 1 million. So you're still going to get at least a 10x out of it in the next 10 years potentially here. So where else can you get that? In the markets too, true, but you got to really pick the winners there, and that's not easy to do. All right, so that's my little rant there, unfortunately, with some people on it. Hopefully people do some research and actually get into this space, get some Bitcoin, right, before it's too late. I don't think it's ever going to be too late, but it's going to be at a much higher price, unfortunately. So if you got into it, congrats. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I do think Bitcoin's going to get to 1 million eventually here, whether it's going to be 5 years, 10 years, I don't know when, but we are going to get there. So I'm not in a big rush. I'm planning to retire for at least another 20 years. So I still have a long ways to go. By that time, Bitcoin could be maybe, 5 million, whatever it's going to be. I got time. All right, next here, things to look out for this week here. We obviously need to see where we end up with Bitcoin this week. We need to see what else happens here, but experts are closely watching jobless claims, U.S. productivity, and the August jobs report that could influence the Fed's September rate cuts decision, right? Obviously, a weak jobs report could counterintuitively be a positive catalyst for Bitcoin, according to experts who remain cautious due to September's bearish seasonality, right? And we talked about that. Bearish seasonality is, historically, we've been in the red here. But if this is going to be a different cycle, we could actually end up being in the green here. And one of the catalysts to drive us forward is going to be the rate cuts happening here in September, possibly a couple months down the road as well. All right, so there's that. Let's get into Iren here really quick. Iren. So Iren, I looked at this. This is the Google Trends part of it. You can see that the Google Trends, people searching for Iren, exploded on Friday here after they provided their earnings here, right? We had quite a bit of interest as well on August 28th, but it definitely went even higher here on August 29th. We saw obviously the nice price appreciation from that. And then that led me to see where is the price targets from the analysts. And we actually had a slew of them come out. We had a total of 5 of them come out on Friday here. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Let me maybe make this a little bit bigger here so you guys can actually read that. Okay. All right, so here's what we got. Cantor Fitzgerald raised his price target to $41 on Friday. Canaccord Genuity raised his price target to $37, right? $41 I think is kind of like where I have it right now. We'll take a look at what I have it. 37 is also in line there. H.C. Wainwright and Company raised their price target to $36. McGuire raised its price target to $33. I think that's actually kind of low. And B. Riley Securities raised its price target to $29. I think that's also pretty low there. But you had obviously a slew of companies here raising their price targets on them based on what they reported for quarterly results, fiscal year-end results, and their guidance with HPC AI operations that they have there right now and customers that they're getting for that as well on it. So this is going to bode pretty well for them. I think we can do even better than that. And if we look at Iren here really quick, let's take a look at that. We'll look at the miners here in a second here. Iren right now, I have them based on the July production update. We'll update this when we get the report for August here, but based on July, plus the latest data that we do have on the quarterly results for HPCI business from them, we have a run rate of about 1 billion right now as it is, right? If we up this a little bit here to, let's just say Bitcoin gets to 150 million, right? So that would be almost a 1.5x on revenue. So we're looking at 1.5 billion. At that point, roughly, I would say maybe even less than that. Let's just do maybe like a 1.4 billion on Bitcoin mining revenue, because you're going to have the network hash rate go up, difficulty is going to increase, and as a result of that, they're going to be generating less Bitcoin. But as long as Bitcoin price goes up, they should be somewhere around there. So let's just say 1.4 billion annual run rate on Bitcoin mining, and then they say they're looking at 200 to 250 million run rate on their HPCI business side of things for next year as well. Starting at, I believe it's like January 1st here, once they have all the GPUs installed by the end of the year. So that would get us to about 1.65 billion, right? So let's just do that. I'll put in 1.65 billion here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Where does that take us? Well, that takes us now to about $45.50 to $68.25. Much higher from where we are right now, right? Could we get there? As long as they don't dilute a lot, which I'm not expecting them to dilute a bunch, because they're already at 50 exahash for Bitcoin mining, right? So there's not much growth there. The only thing they could be doing is buying some more GPUs for their HPCI business, but that could be funded through the Bitcoin mining business side of things, right? If they're generating 1.4 billion in revenue, run rate revenue, that's huge for them. Their profit margins are huge already as it is. So this is kind of like where I would expect them to be at the very least sometime in, I would say maybe in the next 6 months or so. Yeah, I would say 6 to 9 months. I would say somewhere around there, right? As long as they provide great numbers for Bitcoin mining, great numbers for HPCI revenue, we could be going up that high based on just these numbers here, right? Right now, I'm in between $27 and $41 on it. So yeah, they definitely have a lot more room to run here. And we saw the stock running at like tremendously on Friday, obviously. It came back down like everything else did a little bit towards the end of the day because Bitcoin was going down. But overall, I think we're going to get a nice week out of Iren as well. I think the interest is there. A lot of people are talking about it. Iren was mentioned on the All In podcast. If you guys don't watch that, you guys definitely should watch that because there's a lot of insights as far as going on in the industry, not only in HPCI, but everything else. They talk about politics too in there, but just keeps you abreast of what's going on in general. And you get 4 different viewpoints on a lot of the stuff here. And they're all really smart guys there. So definitely listen to that if you don't. But they mentioned it as a sponsor for their upcoming event that they have there. So Iren's sponsoring that, which was kind of smart on them, I think, to do that because they do have a lot of people that are, well, I mean, I think like a couple of those guys are billionaires there that do the podcast already as it is. So you're definitely getting the right attention from the right people at that point. And we also had Meet Kevin talk quite highly on Iren. I think it was on Friday or on Saturday. I can't remember whenever he posted that video on there. If you guys don't know who Meet Kevin is, check it out. He talked quite nicely about them positively and he thought that the site could go up even higher here. I think this title of the video for him was the next possible HPCI play is like 10x or something like that. So he sees definitely upside here as well. On it, like I said, there's just been a lot of positive sentiment there, right? We have people on X as well, Franz, and I'm drawing a blank on the other gentleman. There's quite a few guys that are like way deeper in the weeds than I am when it comes to Iren here. They look at like satellite photos, and I mean, they're great. The amount of information that they provide there, it's fantastic. I hope you guys are following them there as well. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for Iren. I think Iren has a lot more upside to go as it is. I'm really happy that I got into it last year. Hopefully you guys got into it even better price range than I did. I got into it between like $6 and $8 overall. I think my average is right around $7, $8, something like that. So I'm happy. I'm a happy camper right now. Hopefully you guys are too. And I think we still have a lot more upside potential with this one here. But we definitely need also Bitcoin to go up because that fuels their growth into HPC AI as well. So that will definitely help out tremendously there. All right, there's my little love fest for Iren there. Let's get into some of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about today, which was obviously on the weekly. How did the miners do against Bitcoin here? And how far the miners have gone up in their last 52 weeks compared to their bottoms. And we can obviously see that Iren has done the best job. It's up 416%, followed by Cypher up 310%. Then you got Kango. Kango, went public into Bitcoin mining. They transitioned to Bitcoin mining back in December of last year. So that one has been pumped on that. Strategy's only up 194%. BitDeer's up 164%. Hive 134%. Core 131%. Riot 122%. Bitcoin is up 106% from its 52-week bottom. Marathon's only up 62.9 and Cleanspark's up 46.8. So Marathon and Cleanspark are the two companies that have had very few ambitions into HPC AI, or none as it is, have been beaten down because of it. The other miners here have gotten a nice bump on their HPC AI ambitions. Even Hive, right? 134%, small miner there, but man, you talk about HPC AI, buying data centers, things like that. Stock has done actually really well here. And Bitcoin's only up 106% from its bottom here. And you can see how far the miners are in Bitcoin and everything else away from their 52-week highs here on that chart. Going down here to the last week, how did the miners do? Well, all the miners did a heck of a lot better than Bitcoin did here for the most part, right? Bitcoin's down 7% on last week. I track it Friday to Friday. Strategy's even down 7% there, so that's kind of following Bitcoin more or less. Cleanspark was only down 4, Kango was down 3, Mara was down 2. While Riot was up 4, Core was up 6, BitDeer was up 7, Hive up 17% last week. Had a great week last week. Cypher was up 20%, and Iren was up 24% in just that week. So it's nice to see that some of them, well, I would say a lot of the miners are actually outperforming Bitcoin here in the last, I would say, couple of weeks. And so that's kind of bodes well, I think, for the future of the miners in general. From 4 weeks ago, we can see Bitcoin's down still 7% from that time frame. Strategy's down actually 15%. So Strategy's actually been kind of underperforming here recently. Cleanspark is down 6%, so a little bit better than Bitcoin. Kango's down 4%. Marathon is up 4%. Riot up 24%. CORZ flat. BitDeer up 14%. Hive up 43% in a month. That's great. Cypher's up 61%. Iren's up 44% from 4 weeks ago. And then on 8 weeks, things definitely changed there. Bitcoin's only down 8%. Strategy's down 23%. Cleanspark's down 25% from 8 weeks ago. This one's definitely gotten beaten down. Kango's up down 11%. Marathon's down 17%. Riot's only up 11%. Core up 15%. BitDeer up 8%. Hive 28%. Cypher 30%. And Iren is kicking butt and taking names, is up 63%. And then take a look at it from 12 weeks ago. Bitcoin's up only 2%. Strategy's down 11%. Again, like I said, Strategy's underperforming here. Cleanspark down 3%. Kango down 8%. So at least Kango and Cleanspark are somewhat close to Bitcoin, not too far off. Marathon's only up 1% there as well, so that's pretty close to that performance. Riot's up 40%. Core up 18%. BitDeer up only 2%. Hive up 47%. Cypher 96%. Iren 172%. Fantastic run in the last 12 weeks as well. So even if you got in like 12 weeks ago on Iren, you're doing pretty good. You're probably pretty happy at that point. And you can see the table here as far as how we have seen Bitcoin play out, along with the miners here more or less, whether they've been in the red or in the green here. We are seeing a little bit more green here on the miners than we are in Bitcoin here. We've had 2 weeks in a row where we were down. Last week was a rough week. We were down quite a bit on it, but man, definitely want to see a lot more green happening here for that one. Okay, next a little quick update here on dilution since we got the numbers from Iren here on this. I look at the year-over-year dilution, so we're looking at the last or Q2 numbers from 2024 versus 2025 here. What was the dilution on that? How much did they grow in hash rate? What else are we looking at? Revenues, how much revenues increased as well. And then we're just doing some comparison here on it, right, for all these guys here. The only one that I don't have in here, I think, is Kango. And that's only because Kango wasn't mining last year in Q2. So they're out of it for now, at least. This is all obviously for Bitcoin self-mine. Does not include any other revenue streams that they may have gotten from other business segments as it is. Okay. So we got Q2 2024 shares, latest shares which were reported for Q2, dilution amount, percentage dilution, Q2 start hash rate, current hash rate, how much did they increase their hash rate, dilution per petahash, revenue year over year versus basically in difference on that, and what did we get for per diluted share revenue increase, right? So here we can see shares diluted. Cleanspark diluted the least, 32.9 million here, and a lot of that dilution for Cleanspark came in the third and somewhat in the fourth quarter as well, since they haven't diluted much since November of last year. CORZ diluted 47 million shares, Cypher 64, Riot 66, BitTier 70 million, Marathon 75, Iren 84, and Hive 87, right? Iren obviously buying GPUs. That's part of it there. They're also growth to 50 exahash is part of it also at that point. So they did pull on that ATM a little bit hard over the last year, but I think that's going to be decreasing here going forward, but we'll see. Percentage-wise diluted here. Cleanspark, again, the least amount of dilution based on percentage-wise, 13.29, Core 18, Cypher 19%, Riot 21, Marathon 25, Iren 44%, BitTier 55, and Hive 74%. Hive, same thing. Hive has been growing while buying sites, growing their hash rate as well, so buying miners. That's a result, unfortunately, of that. Plus, their stock was kind of low, so that doesn't help, right? If your stock's around $2, $3 or something like that or less, you're going to be having to dilute a heck of a lot more than your peers that are possibly higher priced at that point. Hash rate growth, Iren had the most growth here, about 40 exahash year over year, followed by Cleanspark about 30 exahash, Marathon 26.8 exahash, Riot 13.4, BitTier about 9 exahash, Cypher 8, Hive 6.3, and Core actually lost hash rate from their machines as they're building out the sites with Core Scientific, or CoreWeave, sorry. Shares per petahash, right? So how much dilution do we get per that per petahash increase, basically? Cleanspark had the least dilution, 1,114 shares per petahash. Iren came in second there at 2,104, so that's really good there. Marathon, 2.8 thousand shares per petahash. Riot, 4.9. BitTier, 7.6. Cypher, 7.8 thousand. And Hive, 13.6 thousand shares per petahash. So definitely a lot of dilution, right? Like I said, stock price being low doesn't help. And then per diluted share revenue plus increase, basically. Cleanspark, based on the amount that they diluted, increase in revenues as well. You got basically $2.87 per diluted share in extra additional revenue. Iren $1.46, Marathon 1.31, Riot 1.29, BitTier 0.25, Cypher 0.11, and Hive 0.09. So Hive is definitely having a lot more growth here in the second quarter, third, and fourth quarter of this year than they did last year. That's a result of that as well. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out to you guys. So this is kind of what we got for it, more or less. And again, this doesn't include any other business segments that they have currently. All right, lastly, we're going to jump into this really quick as well as enterprise metrics on these guys here. Enterprise value, this has been updated today. I included the latest numbers that we do have for Q2 results on the enterprise value on these guys here. And we can see what they're being valued per current hash rate. So if you take their enterprise value divided by the number of petahash they have, you basically get what's their valuation per petahash, right? An enterprise value. So we can see here Hive is only at 36 million, definitely very low. Cleanspark also 44 million, Marathon 87 million, Riot 105 million, BitTier 121, Iren 136 million, Cypher 151 million. CORZ is definitely getting a huge premium there, 242 million, but that's mainly because of their HPCI business there. On it. If you look at future hash rate growth, we know that some of these guys are still growing, like Cleanspark's getting to 60 exahash, Marathon 75 exahash, Riot to 45 exahash. BitTier, we're thinking, 43, 46 exahash by the end of the year. Iren, I think, is going to be pretty much done with growth for the remainder of the year at 50 exahash, so they're done there. Cypher, I think, is getting to 23 exahash, so they have a little bit of growth left. Core, well, they're being bought out by CoreWeave. I doubt there's going to be any growth happening there. They were supposed to get 15 exahash of miners from Block. We haven't heard anything on that recently, so I don't know if that's going to happen or not. On top of it, plus they probably would have swapped out a large portion of their older machines to put in the newer machines there, so it wouldn't be too much growth there anyways. But when we look at future hash rate growth, we can see things still pretty much the same way. Hive still very low valuation here, 23 million per exahash. Cleanspark at 39 million, so even a decrease there. Both of those guys. BitTier at 65 million, so that's definitely a decrease there based on the future hash rate growth. Marathon 68 million. Riot 108 million. Iren 136. Right, no growth, so they are the same. Core 145 at that point. and Cypher 186 million. So Cypher is definitely getting a premium on that. But again, Cypher has HPCI potential, so does Riot, Iren, obviously, Core, whereas Marathon and Cleanspark really don't. Bitdeer does have HPCI potential, and so does Hive there. So I'm still a little bit surprised by Hive. I can understand why Cleanspark and Marathon are kind of priced low, but Hive, the only reason I can think of Hive being underpriced right now is because, and the only thing that I can think of is they don't have any operations in the United States. That's the only thing I can think of. Okay, enterprise value for BTC mined here. We're looking at the July numbers for this. You can see here that Hive got only 2.8 million per BTC mine, basically. At that point, they mined 203 Bitcoin. Cleanspark mined 671. They're getting priced at 3.3. Marathon 7.28 million per Bitcoin mine. Riot 7.7. Iren 9.3. Bitdeer 9.5. Cypher 13.25. Core, like I said, some of these guys, based on that alone, would be getting a huge spread on this, I guess, or huge benefit, I guess, on it. And then here's the enterprise value for all these guys here right now as it is, based on the latest that I do have on it right now. Okay, so that's it. Later on this week, we're going to start probably reporting on the miners for their August operations. We also have to look at some of the quarterly data that we finally now have all the data on these guys once Iren reported. We'll look through all that as well. We'll look to see how much the miners have increased or decreased their share of the network hash rate in August. The network hash rate did grow. I checked the 30-day average here, and that grew to, 949 exahash. So definitely a little bit of growth there happening in the hash rate. Prior one was 914, so we had about 35 exahash installed here onto the network over the last month, which is quite a bit. So we'll take a look at all that and everything else. All right, I'll finish up there. Spreadsheets and everything else, as always, is available to my Patreon members. Greatly appreciate their support there. Also greatly appreciate your guys' support here, coming in daily and talking with me, chatting with me, and listening to me rant on all this stuff here and spit out all these metrics and data points and everything else. So I greatly appreciate all of you there. But that's available for Patreon members. Link for that is down in the description if you want to join. A couple bucks a month helps what I do. And as you guys know, I don't do any sponsorships or I don't have any sponsored videos or anything like that. So you guys are my main support. So I gotta try to keep you guys happy. All right, that's it. Let's get into Q&A here. So what you guys have to say. I'm starting to get a little hot down here from talking. I'm gonna have to take a sip of water or something like that. And let's see if we got everything up and running. We do. Okay, as always, questions, if you could preface those with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. And I probably should have said this in the beginning, but be kind in the comments, right? Treat everyone with respect. Everybody has a different opinion on things. We're here all to learn. Okay, Pravi's got a question here. When are we going to see Cleanspark taking off past 20? Bitcoin's going to go up higher, probably 180,000, 200,000 at that point. And then if they actually provide some good details on their HPCI ambitions, I think that could also help the stock out there, right? At least give us some kind of information on the sites, which sites might have HPCI potential based on fiber connectivity, water supply, spacing, all that stuff, right? That'd be great. Okay. Private says, I'm happy for those who have tons of Iren, but some of us have tons of Cleanspark. Yeah, I have both actually, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, I know a lot of you guys got into Cleanspark as well as did I. But I told you guys last year, that I was selling some of my Cleanspark shares because they were up nicely, and moving that into Iren at that time because I just saw the growth potential for Iren at that point, and I'm happy that I did that. As you guys know, I've been tracking Iren since probably 2022. And at that point, I was even looking to invest in them. The only thing that held me back was Bitcoin price was coming down. Obviously, we're in a bear market. And as a result of that, their special purpose vehicle loans they had through NYDIG got called back, basically. So they had to return about 3 exahash of miners at that point. They were battling with them on a lawsuit from NYDIG since then. And they finally got that cleared up here last week or the week before. I can't remember now. But that's got cleared up. So that's actually, they settled on that. So that was good news there. But I was looking at them at that point. And then when I saw them, growing back, I was like, okay, they're getting back to a good growth trajectory. I'm like, that's the time I want to get into them. And it was looking like they were going to be getting At first I think it was 30 exahash, then they said 40 exahash, then 50 exahash, and they were talking about it by the end of the second half or the end of the first half of this year. I'm like, well, that's possibly going to time out pretty well with Bitcoin possibly going into a bull run as well. So that was a no-brainer there. And then obviously the HPCI potential was a big bonus there as well. So, but it's, I mean, is it too late to get into Iren? I don't know. I don't think it's too late. I mean, if it goes up even higher from here, can you at least do a 2x on it? I think it's a possibility. On that, they just need to continue to perform with the way they have, right? Okay. Unfortunately, you said hello. I don't know what your name is, unfortunately. I can't read that. Hello back to you. Thanks for coming in. All right. Sauer says, Matt needs to start talking. Jesus Christ. Matt, you're talking about Matt from Cleanspark. Yes, they need to be out front. If they are serious about HPCI, they need to be out front and like preaching to the choir and being at the top of the mountain there, right? This is what we're doing. This is how we're going to get there, so forth, so on. They need to definitely do that. All right. Neville says, Cypher deal inbound September. I hope Mike seems to know something is up. I saw the tweet from Mike as well. That would be great. I would love to see that, obviously. If it doesn't happen in September, we might get it in October or November. So, but yeah, that would definitely help the stock out. The stock has been doing fantastically. I think there is obviously some front running maybe a little bit that their deal is going to be happening here. So we need to see what kind of deal is going to happen there. All right. John's got a question here. Do I need to hold Cypher through 26 with so much growth coming then? Possibly, right? Some of these guys you might be able to hold through 2026, even maybe into 2027 if we have an extended cycle in Bitcoin also, right? But a lot of these guys are getting into HPCI. That's a good catalyst alone to hold some of these guys. And if Bitcoin does go into an extended cycle, we might not have that 70, 80% drawdown on Bitcoin, which at that point crushes the miners. So yeah, there might be a possibility there. Neva says, I don't even think we're in an extended cycle. The traditional 4-year cycle is busted. It makes sense. The BTC would behave differently as time moves forward. No, I agree. I would agree. Okay. Private says, starting to think BMNR might be good to get. Ethereum Treasury, similar to MSTR. I don't know. I think I've voiced my opinion on this plenty of times before, where I don't think the treasury company should command a premium higher than like 1.3 MNAV. At a certain point, I think they can maybe get a little bit of a higher premium, 1.5, maybe, something like that. But why should they get a higher premium to the asset itself, right? If you have $1 billion of Ethereum or Bitcoin, whatever you might have on your treasury, why should you get a premium of, $2 billion on it? Okay, you think Bitcoin's going to be going up to 200,000. Okay, that's basically a 2x from there. Okay, at that point, it should get to that if and when Bitcoin or Ethereum get to that 2x level in price. Those guys should be trading at, closer to the 1 MNAV at that point. That's just my thought on it. I don't know. We've seen strategy obviously not doing that well this year since November of last year. Even the Ethereum treasury companies here had a huge run up on the initial announcements, but after that, things have come down for them and they haven't regained those high targets anymore, or high price targets. And I don't know if they will, right? Because in order to buy more Bitcoin, you need to either dilute through via an ATM, offer more shares, or do convertible notes, which obviously will get converted eventually as well. I don't know. I don't know if that's the best way to go about it. I love the fact that they're doing it because they're buying up the supply, creating more of a demand, which is good. Okay. Neville, let's see here. When it comes to jobs report, isn't bad data good? For us, it looks like it might be the case. Yeah, right. Will mean that Fed and Powell there will be lowering interest rates. All right. Kat says about a nice bag of Ethereum in June. Best decision this year. Yeah, it's gone up nicely for you. Yeah, so we're definitely seeing a little bit of rotation there. All right. Gary's got a question here. Iren deal with Dell to lease GPU with 3 years with option to buy or sell is co-location on steroids 2.0. Takes away risk and payback over 3 years instead of 7 to 10 years with regular co-location. Yeah, they definitely I mean, the way that Dan has explained it and everything else, it's a great deal for them to do that, right? You lease them out. At the end of the 3 years, you can give them back or hold on to them some more if the economics are there for it, or you can get newer generation machines as well. So that is great. All right. Brad's got a question. Will Matt from Cleanspark take the company toward HPCI deal? What do you know about Cleanspark's moves forward and up past 20? Thanks. Matt has talked about it, right? So basically a week after he took position, he was at the SALT conference. He did mention that they are looking to get into HPCI. We'll see what comes of it though, but we need more details. I agree with you there. More details, the better. It's the same thing with any of these companies. The more details you can provide your shareholders, the more likely your stock is actually to go up because they see that you're progressing on something, you're doing something. All right. Let's see. Neville says, it looks like if Iren were to get a co-location deal, it'll have to be very good one because this company has options. Jesus' other miner can only dream of being able to walk away from a colo deal. Yeah, they do have the optionality, right? They are now a preferred partner of NVIDIA, which then allows other people to have faith in their operations, basically, for when it comes to HPCI as well. It's not just a gimmick or what do you call it? Like a hollow phrase, basically. There's something meaning behind it, right? A preferred partner is somebody that can actually execute the data centers properly and everything else, right? They kind of vet it a little bit. When NVIDIA says you're a preferred partner, that you can basically do the things that you're saying you're going to do. So that's actually great, not only marketing, but it's just great overall to gaining more customers in the long run as well. So I think that's great. Them doing their own HPCI business with basically getting smaller customers for maybe 1 year, 3 year contracts and things like that. As they install more and more GPUs, I think that's great. That could be a path for them to become either a neo cloud provider, basically, or also becoming their own hyperscaler at that point. Becoming your own hyperscaler is going to be definitely costly, but it's doable as long as Bitcoin stays elevated and they're able to generate good returns from Bitcoin mining, fund that into the business for HPCI, right? It's possibly a huge potential there. I'm in it for the ride. We'll see. All right, let's see what else do we have here. All right, Heinze Ketchupy's got a question here. Seb, are you still holding hope for Cleanspark? I am. I think with Zach, was holding the company basically as a pure Bitcoin mining company. And I think that's maybe the reason why. I'm not 100% certain on that, right? I don't have any inside knowledge or anything like that. I'm just thinking that might be the case here. Because a week after that, Matt came out that they are looking for HPCI. So I think there is hope still for them. They are like one of the top 3 best Bitcoin miners there, right? Historically, they've been like one of the best. Iren kind of kicked their butt here a little bit in July. Might be the same here in August. We'll see. It looks like they've been curtailing there a little bit. But they do have a good team there. They got Taylor Monick there as well. Well-experienced Bitcoin mining. He might also have some experience in AI potentially. We'll see. So I think the potential is still there, but they need to communicate that with investors, and not just investors, but like institutions as well, right? Because those are the ones that are usually buying them up and things like that. So we'll see. It's been only about a week since that happened. I mean, I'll give them a little more time. We'll see where we are, next month if they start mentioning things like that. Private says, if I would have gone all in on BTC at 45 when I also bought Cleanspark at 10 and Bitfarms at 2.2, I would have made a lot more so far. At those numbers, yes. If you got in, even if you got in when Bitcoin bottomed out, you probably would have done better with Bitcoin too from the bottom, I think, except for maybe Iren. I think Iren would have outperformed. Maybe another one there as well. Cypher has maybe outperformed Bitcoin here. But if you got in at the bottom of 2022, Bitcoin was 15,500 at the bottom of there, and it's gone up. What is that? 7-8x from there, right? My math is right, something like that. Now, what do you think about Trump's tariffs largely being declared illegal? The Supreme Court is bound to take it up, but it'll be a huge blow if they limit him or don't firmly side with them. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to play out, right? There's been some, obviously, contention on that. There's also been people saying that it should be up to the Congress, basically, to be able to set the tariffs on there. I don't know what the right thing to do there is. Having one person have all that power there might be too much, and maybe it is best course to have Congress kind of set it up, right, and make it into a law, actually. Because, well, we're kind of seeing it right now. One person having the control is that the whole globe is at the whim of one person, basically. Right? If you make him mad, he can raise tariffs on you. You do good by him, he's going to lower them. So I think it might be, I'm just spitballing here right now off the top of my head, I think it might be best if Congress sets that up, where you have more people involved in that. Then, yeah, I would just say that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out and which way the Supreme Court goes on that as well. John Kurt says Yahoo Finance shows Cypher up 6.5% already. Let me see here. Cypher. So maybe something's happening there. Oh, Finance Yahoo is loading like a turtle for me today for some reason. Are you guys having the same issues with Finance on Yahoo? For some reason, this thing is really, really lagging today. It's not loading. Even though I have 1 gigabit speed. Oh, yeah, it is up 6.68%. Let's take a look at that here. There you go. 6.68. Maybe there is something happening there. Let's see. Where's Iren's up 3% right now, right? So happy I got into Cypher a couple of weeks back. Told you guys about that as well. So tomorrow might be kind of a good day. We'll see where Bitcoin goes as well. Let's get back to the Q&A part of things. Let's see. Jordan K says, remember to take profits at some point. Absolutely. As long as you take profits, that's good. And as long as you can beat the S&P 500, I think that's even better, right? So if you can outperform that over a couple of years, that's a great way to go. Okay. Jordan says, glad the dark ages are over for the top operators in the space. Yeah, it's nice to see them running as well. Private says, Cleanspark is a top operator and still in the dumps. Yeah, but the narrative has changed over the last year for HPCI, right? And Bitcoin miners were the only play in town last cycle. This time around, you have the ETFs, you have Strategy, you got MetaPlanet, you got all these other companies that are becoming treasury companies. You have a lot more on-ramps to Bitcoin than you had in the past, I think. And that's why we are seeing, one, the huge impact that AI is having on these companies for data centers and things like that. So I think you need to get on board, basically, on it. All right, let's see. Gary says, CoreWeave has a market cap of 50 billion, down from 80 billion. I think it's Nebius, right? Nebius market cap of 17 billion to P2 in NeoCloud space. Iren at 7 billion, huge room for growth. Iren owns sites, so can undercut other prices. Yeah, I agree. Huge growth there, potential. Okay. Can you tell us if when Iren was mentioned in the episode of the AI podcast? It was right in the beginning, within like the first 2 minutes. It was mentioned as a sponsor of their event. So that was talked about in the first 2 minutes on that one. What miners have the lowest cost to mine? Right now, Iren has the lowest cost to mine. I think Cleanspark comes in at number 2 right now. Spot after that, you're probably looking at Cypher's actually. I think Cypher's actually after that. We'll do an update on that as well, as far as what is their break-even cost on the miners, since we got Iren updated as well. Sarban Gaming says treasuries are dilution scams. I mean, you gotta dilute or you gotta do something. You gotta, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's scam. I wouldn't say it's. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a scam. I think investors know what they're getting into at that point. All right, Guy says, never had high hopes that Cleanspark will reach 30, 40, 50, which many people had predicted, but was hoping that Cleanspark will reach around 25, but very disappointed that Cleanspark dropped below 18. Cleanspark performance 0 for 0. Yeah. Right. If it wasn't for the HPCI narrative that has changed over the last year, I think Cleanspark would have done a lot better. Compared, I mean, it did get to $24 at one point in, was it 2024? 2024, last year. It did get there. It was the best performer. It was the love child in the industry, basically, or the queen, whatever you want to call it, in the industry for a little bit of time, right? For about 6 months or so. And then after that, Bitcoin actually went, we had the halving event, Bitcoin went down. They got beat down because of it, and things changed to HPCI. Probably got a question. Is it likely that Matt will turn things around for them, Cleanspark? I think Matt is a very smart guy, so I'm not going to take anything away from him. I do think that they will probably try their best to turn things around and, look into getting more HPCI potentially. Right? They have a huge hodl. It's valued at, what is it valued now? At roughly 1.3 billion or something like that, right? For what they have. So they have capital that they can deploy if needed to get into this, if they wanted to, in a big way. Okay. Neville gives a bit of a like. Appreciate that. Thank you. Guy, even if Cleanspark 2x from here will be below average performance year, why Cleanspark stock price sense is over 100,000? Even if Cleanspark gets 2x from here will be below average performance from here, or depending on the time frame, I guess you're looking at, right? Depending when you got into it, what was your price that you got into? What's your average price overall? Marcelo says, sell your Cleanspark so I can buy more. I do think it's way undervalued from where it really should be as well. Okay, private says correct, but it would make it at least still worth holding now. Going forward, we can only live going forward. Yeah, correct. Yeah, so like I said, we need to know more details. The more details, the better. D-Royce added some Cypher Friday early. Nice. Gary Corweave has huge debt. I wouldn't consider those co-location deals they have with miners as risk-free, while Iren and Cypher likely rejected offers from them. Well, we don't know if they rejected those offers or if there were any offers, right? We don't know. We can speculate on that part of it, but we really don't know. CG question, who has the best all-in cost to mine in BTC? Also, what is Hive's all-in cost? Hive's is higher. We'll do that number, what their all-in cost or break-even cost is on Bitcoin mining for the miners. Maybe this week or next week, we'll get into it. I do have all the numbers for all the guys here. I just got to pull it in now from Q2 results. So we'll take a look at that. But Hive is kind of in the middle there. They were a bit higher a couple quarters back because of older machines, not having a huge hash rate growth, things like that. Best one there right now is Iren. Iren's all-in cost is, 40-some thousand, I believe. Right? Something like that. So we'll take a look at it. Okay. Private says, and if it's not likely that Cleanspark will 2x or 220 or more, then it might be worthwhile jumping ship and buying something else. But then you're also thinking that something else can do better than 2x, right? And that's a tough thing to see going forward. We all can speculate and hope that Iren does, 3x, 4x from here, but will it realistically? We don't know, right? We see huge potential with it, so the possibility is there, but will it do that? We don't know, right? So, yeah, but it's definitely on your guys' side as far as which way you want to go. President BNR seems like it might be good. Again, Ethereum Treasury Company, I'm not a big fan of treasury companies. That's just me, though. Neville, did we talk about the price targets for Iren? Yes, towards the beginning, like the first 15 minutes or so into it, something like that, we talked about it at that point. We talked about the price targets from the analysts there. I'll pull this up for you really quick so you can see that as well. We had 5 analysts come out on Friday, right? Cantor, $41, Cancor, $37, H.C. Wainwright, $36, McGuire, $33, and B. Riley, $29 is their price targets right now on that one. So those have increased, and some of those upper ones are more in line with what I think, but we could also go much higher, right? As Bitcoin goes up to 150,000, 200,000, their revenue from that is going to be huge, and then they are also going to be having from HPCI business, annual run rate of about 200 to 250 million come next year. So that should also propel them up higher from where they are right now. Okay. Thank you so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Mr. X, does Cleanspark still have a lot of extra energy and property to expand into HPC AI? I think they have 150 megawatts left to build out, I believe. 150, 130 megawatts. So they do have that. They say that they have a pipeline of additional, 1 gigawatt or something like that. But that's a pipeline, right? Again, we need to see signed contracts for electricity and things like that in order for that pipeline to be reallocated instead of a pipeline dream, basically. So That's for all the companies that have pipelines. They all state that they have huge pipelines, but until it gets converted over into actual contracts, those are just pipe dreams right now. Okay, S says, hang in there. Miners are going to move soon. We need Bitcoin to move, and maybe the rate cuts later on this month will be the catalyst for that. Let's see, Victor C. MicroStrategy did well from 130 to 500 when the price of BTC went up. Don't you think once Ethereum goes to 10,000, BMNR would hit a all-time high as well? At that point, that's basically roughly a 2x from where we are right now, 2.5x, something like that, right? I would expect, BMNR to also do like a 2.5, 3x, something like that. At that point, why should they get valued more on the amount of hodl they hodl? I just don't see why. All right, JD, do you think crypto bulls back these next 2 weeks? Then J Powell rate cuts and we go full bull. Bulls, crypto pulls back. Oh, Bitcoin pulls back, not bulls. I don't think it's going to pull back. We might see a little bit of pullback. I think there might be some shenanigans in the market by the micro makers, right? They're going to try to lower it, get better pricing before we do go up once Powell does lower the rates there. So that is a possibility. I think that is feasible. All right. Ferrer's got his question. A, still a lot of hope. B, still only some hope. Or C, basically kind of hopeless. Cleanspark over. I would say I still have a lot of hope. A, yeah, for them, yeah. Okay. Sadie, thank you so much for coming in, and thanks for the likes as always. George's got a question here. If Bitcoin goes to 200,000, suddenly pure play miner is more profitable than HPCI. Zach will be back. Will Zach be back? Excuse me. Zach is done for, right? Zach is out. He's got a severance package, 20 some odd million overall. He's going to be living pretty, right? He doesn't have to work for the rest of his life. He may do something, or maybe create a competitor. Who knows? All right. Now let's see. Sarthek. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. What do you think happens to the stock price if Cleanspark announces HPCEI? Well, they already kind of came out with saying that they have some ambitions in HPCEI. Would they need to come out with a deal for something? I think that would be the case. Or even if they provide a roadmap as far as what they're targeting, their sites, which sites could be good HPCEI plays. I think that would also help out. And then, maybe they hired some people that have HPCEI experience. I think it might be also a good thing there. We'll see. They got the money, so they can do a lot of things here. KBW says Mara is the worst miner, going to $9. Mara has not been the best miner, yeah. Their operations are fantastic at times, where they blow everything out of the water, and then for the next couple months, they suffer for whatever reason. And their cost to mine is definitely higher, right? They still have, 65% they own now, and 35% is still, I believe, hosted. So that has to improve as well. Gary says, almost all of Cleanspark too small for HPCEI. There is a reason Mara, which has 35%, hosted sites, and Cleanspark were last to pivot. But that's, Iren's building out. How big are the Iren sites in Canada? They're not that big, if I'm not mistaken, right? They're relatively small. I think they're under 100 megawatts. And then they're building out Horizon 1, which is only 50 megawatts. Cleanspark has a lot of those sites that are like 50 megawatts, 20 megawatts to even 100 megawatts or something like that. Could you convert some of those things to HPCI and do a similar thing like Iren's doing, where they're buying their own GPUs? You could. There's really nothing stopping you there, as long as you can get the fiber, you can get the other things needed for if you're going to be doing a direct-to-chip cooling and things like that. Can you get the chillers and things like that you're going to need for it? Not the chillers, but all the coolers, basically. Can you do that? And if you can, it's doable, right? All right. CKBW says, fire Fred and merge with Iren. No, I would not want Iren to merge with Mara. Gary says, yeah, Iren doesn't want Mara, yeah. Victor C, question, you mean 2x around 150 BMNR? Where's BMNR right now? Now let me take a look at it here really quick. I don't even know where the price is as of Friday. see here, BMNR 43, so 2x. I mean, if we're looking at 2 to 5x, yeah, we're probably looking at $100, $120 of Bitcoin. If Ethereum gets to, $10,000 at that point, I could see that. If it's just being valued more or less on their HODL for Ethereum, because yeah, Ethereum's at 4.3. You're looking at roughly 2 to 2.5x, roughly to get to 10,000. So that's kind of where I would see it. All right, George's got a question here. We got a couple more questions to go, and I think we'll be done. Would it be better for Cleanspark to develop HPC, AI potential, or merge, or acquire another company like Mara did? I think it would be better for him to develop, to be honest. Have control over it. I think it would be better. I would say almost follow the footsteps of Iren. You could follow it. Obviously, there's nothing proprietary about it. There's nothing that's stopping them from doing it as well. You could do the same thing. Build out, 20, 50 megawatt site, put an HPC in there, buy a bunch of GPUs, you could do it that way. See how it goes. Okay, talked about that one. Let's see here. Neville. Cleanspark should have bought Stronghold. I'm so glad Ben pulled the trigger on that purchase. Yes, that might work out really, really well for them, right? If they can get the power connects and if they can get the expanded supply of power there as well. And they're working on that as well. So we'll see in time. I do think that the possibility is there, but it's all in the details. And sometimes the details are the ones that kill you in the end. So I'm positive. I'm not positive. I would say I'm positive on the aspects there for Bitfarms to do something good there. I'm still holding onto the shares there. We'll see how they do. It is a great location, and sometimes location really does matter when it comes to these things. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you just need all the megawatts you can get, kind of like XAI, right? They're building out as fast as they can and using up as many megawatts as they can in one site because they want to put basically like 1 million GPUs in one site to do a super AI intelligence there. So yeah, we'll see. All right. Private says, thanks for the insights. You're very welcome. Good night. Good night to you as well. Yeah, I think we're going to call it a day. I think we're caught up to all your questions here. We've been going on about an hour, so that's actually pretty good here. We're doing pretty good on time. We'll see what tomorrow brings us, right? Right now, Cypher's doing pretty good here after hours. Iren's doing pretty good as well. We'll see where they start out. Does Cypher get a deal later on this month for something? Time will tell, right? We'll obviously celebrate if it does happen. If it doesn't happen, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world here. Iren's up a little bit now, 3.59% in the after hours. So good things to come, I think. The next, I would say 6 to 12 months are going to be very interesting in a good way, potentially, as long as things don't go to crap in a handbasket in the world overall. All right, that is it. Thank you again, everyone, for coming in. Love you all. Hope you guys have a great September. Hopefully it's going to be a positive September for us all. We could definitely use it. And we need Bitcoin to run up more, I think. Maybe we'll get that with the Fed cut coming up here. So I'm being positive here. I got time. I'm not selling anything right now. Not looking to sell anything unless things really go south on us quickly. If we do go south a little bit, I'll probably end up buying some more. And we'll weather the storm and move on forward. All right. Love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow.